everyone, welcome to Melancholy Coaching Podcast. Join me as I interview inspiring business owners and self-improvement seekers while exploring business building, monetizing ideas and practical takeaways. Let's ignite our creative potential together. Hello and welcome to Melancholy Coaching Podcast, the show that highlights different business owners and ideas. I'm Fran, your NLP and Business Coach, and I'm pleased to introduce a motivational guest. Mark Robertson spent most of his career as a theatre, film and TV technician. Between rehearsals or at a day's end, he wrote to clear his mind. In 2015, he turned his pastime into a career, studying at the British College of Journalism and earning a HND. Since then, his articles have appeared in national newspapers and magazines, and he now works as a newsreader for 2 London-based radio stations. Based in Dorset, he's studying to become a light aircraft pilot after winning a competition for a pilot's licence. Mark, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
That's okay. That's quite a thing, isn't it? winning a competition.
It is. It was done sheer by chance, actually. I operate drones as well. I like doing aerial photography, but as a bit of a hobby, just to clear my mind, when it's a busy day. And I was wanting to fly near a specific airfield in North Dorset, and you can't fly without permission. So I went onto the website to get the contact details. They were closed due to COVID at the time, but there was an advert on the front page of the website saying apply for a pilot's license, apply for the competition to win a pilot's license. I've always wanted to fly, as you can see behind me. And I thought, well, if I don't do it, I'll always be kicking myself. I did it. I beat everybody else and I won.
Yeah, it's seizing the opportunities, isn't it?
It is. This one was by sheer chance, but I always believe that you should go out and grab every opportunity that you've got, no matter how small it is, and grab it with both hands, because you just don't ever know where it's going to go.
Yeah, amazing. So thank you for that. I was just intrigued about that bit. I've got a couple of pre-planned questions for you because I'm a curious being and I like to be prepared.
Okay, fire away.
So the first one is, I know that you're an author. Can you share the title of your book and what inspired you to write it?
Well, again, it goes back to the, always grabbing every opportunity. So the title of the book is From Handbags to Hand Grenades. It's a true story based on the 30-year career of a female London Metropolitan Police officer. And it's about her career from 1990 through to 2020 and everything that she experienced from before, during and after. So I'm the kind of person who likes to go out and do lots of ambitions. I've done Route 66. I've driven across most of the continents on the planet in a car that costs less than £100. I've had things brought up at Prime Minister's Question Times. I've gone out and done skydiving and wing walking. And I'm now currently about to go and attempt a Guinness World Record, but that's a different story. But with the book, it's just an ambition that I've always wanted to do, something that I've always had an idea to do, but I've never known what to write about. And this kind of fell in my lap, really. A few years ago, I was working in London with a friend who's the lady in the book. Her name is Catherine West. And she was venting frustration one day. She was telling me about a particularly hard event that she'd had to deal with firsthand. Now, I knew that she worked in the police force, but I didn't realize exactly what she did. She was just telling me about this particular bad day, and it was quite a horrific event that she had to deal with. And it just sparked something in my mind. I thought, right, I've always wanted to write a book. This is a good topic and subject that people would want to read about, because it's the background of what happens within the Met without really releasing too much information. And it's also about the highs and the lows and the good and the bad. So it's not all about bad things. There's a bit of humor in there as well, just to break things up a little bit. But it's quite an interesting and varied career. And I just said to her, have you ever thought about having a book written about your life? And she said yes, but she couldn't do it at the time because she still had a couple of years to go before she retired. So we then waited, and then COVID happened, so we had to wait a bit more. And then a bit of a personal tragedy this end, so we had to wait a bit more. But then we eventually got round to doing it, and we sat down, and I said, "Right, tell me your story." And I have to admit, even though I've known her for several years, and yes, this might be a slightly biased opinion, but as I'm sat listening to what she's telling me, my eyes were opened up wide. And hopefully, I've done the justice by then passing this on in the form of the
Yeah.
book. Other people
Translating
can
that
then read
into
it. Yeah.
words.
It was, I was actually sat there just listening to what she was saying, and I'm thinking, this was just incredible. This
Mm.
really was incredible. She started off as a young probationer, originated from Cornwall, moved up to the big city, and then eventually became like the lioness of London. It was quite something.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's the thing, isn't it, about stories? I believe that we've all got a story to share. Um,
absolutely. Yeah,
whether or not other people want to either read that or watch it, that's another thing, isn't it? So, not only did you see the opportunity for an amazing story,
yeah.
it's then putting that into words and translating it into a package that's,
It was it
digestible
was
for
it was
people.
quite a journey to actually do. Like I say, it's been
Yeah,
a
I can
lifetime's
imagine.
ambition. I've always wanted to do things. I've always gone out and grabbed things. Like I say, with both hands. You just
Mm,
don't know where it'll take you to. Um, but it was it was quite an eye opener when we started to talk, and she told me about the things that she'd worked on. She dealt with the Grenfell Tower fire. She dealt with the Tavistock
right.
Square 7/7 bombings. She dealt with the Westminster Bridge attack. But then there's humorous things, where she's dancing badly at the Notting Hill Carnival and bumps into this really gorgeous, hunky guy that she instantly fell
Oh,
in love with, only to find out he was married. So,
gosh.
so there's, there's
Definite highs and lows.
things.
Yeah, definite highs and lows in there.
So it's yeah, but she like I say, she started literally as a probationer,
Mm,
where and a female, where she wasn't even allowed to touch the handles of a police car, let alone ride in one. And that was back in 1990. And eventually she worked her way up. She worked and she worked and she worked. And she worked her way up to become running for a period of time the main control centre in Scotland Yard for all the big events, the New Year's Day parade
incredibly
celebration.
inspiring, because that just shows you how, if you ebb and flow through life, that sees those opportunities and those career paths and where that's going to take you.
That's right. I mean, she had the hardship as well. It's not all, not all about the roses. She went up, she went down, but she did make it in the end. And like I say, she was running the big events in London at the end of it. So yeah,
Amazing. Right, thank you. Very, that's like a really, really big, there's loads of big topics within all of that. But I'm going to move on
fair
to
enough.
my next question, which is, what advice would you give to someone looking to turn a passion into a career in writing or media?
Good question. If you got a passion, don't put it to one side because it'll just eat away at you anyway. So just go out and do it. Look to your field. Look to where you want to go. But don't just to work towards a goal, because if you work towards a goal, you're missing all the bits and pieces in between. Do it in stages. I used to work in theatre, film, and TV. I used to write just as a way of clearing my mind at the end of the day, but I always had a passion in news. So I just went back and I did distance learning. I didn't set out to be a newsreader on the radio. I started out just by writing articles for magazines and newspapers. And steadily it grew from there. I'd like to work in television one day. If I see the opportunity, I'll go for it. But I'm not using that as a final goal to work towards, because otherwise I may never possibly achieve it. Media is a difficult entity to get into. Um, Now, take this as you will, but I found that females can get into media better than males. That's one
Yeah.
of the things that I've learned. Doesn't mean to say that it's an equal balance, If you're working within radio, the female voice is much more easier to listen to than a harsh male voice. And it's
Now,
just one
see,
of those things that you come across.
that's an interesting thing because that's a very it's a very overarching statement, isn't it? For people to take as they will. Because
Yeah.
personally, I actually prefer to listen to a male voice, funnily enough. I do. Because I listen to a lot of YouTube things and I will gravitate towards male voices
Now that's
or,
interesting.
yeah, or a specific tone of female voice. Um,
When
so,
I do my broadcast pieces, I do twice a week for the London station. So I'm based here in Dorset. I have a professional studio in another room in the house. So my voice is fine for doing gravitas for some very serious international events. But if I or if another presenter is doing an announcement of a school fete, for argument's sake,
yeah,
or an event for somebody to go along, then my voice is completely the wrong kind of voice for that. And you then need to have somebody which is much more lighter and aerated for a lighter event to happen. But going
yeah,
back to actual media itself, like as to answer your question, there are highs, there are lows. There is no one quick, easy fix. You're better by starting out in a voluntary capacity and working for a local newspaper or a newsletter for a village hall or something like that to learn your craft, to hone your style, and then you can expand on there. You can't just jump into it 2 feet first. It is a difficult medium to get into,
yeah.
but and can take around about 5 years before you actually get recognition. But
Wow.
when you do start to get recognition, it does become easier. And then you can't exactly pick and choose, but you then find attaining jobs can be slightly easier. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And again, it's an interesting topic, isn't it? It isn't just the voice, it's the tone of the voice, it's the pacing, there's so much more involved, isn't there?
There's a lot of involved, and especially with obviously the kind of events that with some of the things that I've covered. I've covered some very serious, significant events, but I've also covered things such as the preparation launch for the world's fastest land speed record car, the one that beat Thrust SSC, or there was a
Different.
beat Thrust SSC. I've worked on some the product launches. I've worked on some party political events. It's a whole wide range and spectrum that you have to take on board, and you need to be able to adapt to that. But you do get to go and be invited to some pretty cool events, I will say.
Mm, amazing. Right, what I want to ask you now is what's next for you? There's an awful lot that's packed into this, and not only into the book as well, because we'll go back to the book in a moment,
Yeah.
because there's a lot to unpack in there, and I want to leave that for the readers to get
Okay.
into. There's some very, very big topics within that book. But generally, what's next for you?
Well, it's slightly difficult for me to answer that because
Yeah.
you could say that within the past 5 years, I've learned how to fly a plane. I'm about to become a Guinness World Record holder, and I've become a published author. But at the same time, I'm also finding it difficult, despite what I've just been said a few minutes ago. I am finding it difficult to get some work at the moment. Um, it's just because of the way of the world. Things have changed; they're entirely on their head. When I get back with my feet under the table, I will be carrying on doing more writing. I did have a personal tragedy that did set me back quite some time. Um, I'm now working my way through that. Things are improving,
I'm sorry to
and
hear
I want
that.
to carry
Yeah,
on doing more of the writing. And I've now started. I've taken a step back to take a step forward.
yeah.
So I'm doing less on the magazines and newspapers and more on the online blogging right now. And for me, that's working. It's getting me back into the swing of things. I'm now having between around about 2,200, between that and 2,800, 3,000 weekly views of blogs that I'm doing. And I
Very good.
started with zero.
Yeah, it's
So
very good.
it is getting back into it again. It's been a lot of hard work. and I'm hoping that from there I can piggyback on and then start to get some form of income. But I had a big personal tragedy, and it just knocked me for a while. Now I'm moving forward again. So long term, more broadcast work, be on the telly. Let's see what happens from there.
Yeah, so ideally, work-wise, what would you like to, bring into your world?
Work wise, I would like to work more within television media.
Okay.
That's where I would like to go towards. It is a different world from the radio, so I'm happy to continue with the radio side of things as well, because that's quite a thing to do, and it's quite a fun environment to work in as well. It's hard work, but you get a great group of people that you actually work with, and I do like that. So radio is fine, but TV is where I want to head towards.
Okay, thank you. Um, your book, okay, so there's a website for the book, isn't there, where people can find it? Um,
There's several. The easiest way to do it really is just to go into Google and just put in the title "From Handbags to Hand Grenades."
okay.
I'm told by the publishers that the paperback version, because there's paperback, Kindle, and audiobook, and I'm told by the publishers that it's currently being sold in 86 different countries worldwide. So that, that
Incredible.
was quite something. I was not expecting that when
Yeah.
I first found out. Um, but the best way to find it, you can do all that. You can do the Waterstones, the W. H. Smiths, the Amazons of this world, or if you just want to put in the title into Google, "From Handbags to Hand Grenades," I do believe that I think we're taking up the first 4 pages of Google on every single website. So go for it. That's the best way in which you can find it. Yeah.
Okay. So thank you for sharing some of your insights there and a bit of your journey. So with the names there, so your book is Mark Robertson, and then you're blogging as well, aren't you?
That's
So
right. Yeah. So I have a blogger under Word. I have a blog under WordPress, and that goes under the name of David Walker, which is
mm,
another name that I often go by. I found throughout the years that sometimes it's easier to have a pen name, because obviously you need to separate personal from private life and things, or a commercial life, and that's why the book is under the pen name of Mark Robertson, but my
yeah,
blogs are under an alternative name of David Walker.
which is fascinating, isn't it? Because I'm in the world of performing, so I also do some burlesque performing, and every performer has a performer name.
Yeah,
I couldn't even tell you what their other names were, and you
well, it's
know,
like a stage name, then, isn't it? Yeah,
it's a stage name, yeah. So you get a pen name, a stage name, a working name. A lot of actors and actresses, they work under a different name as well, don't they?
that's right. That's right. Yeah.
So just to
So
make sure that everybody can find you. Yeah,
under my blogs, it's a WordPress, and the name there is David Walker.
amazing. Thank you. And the book is Mark Robertson. Thank you very
Yeah,
much for explaining. Right, so if you're interested in more content like this, be sure to visit www.melancholymentor.com. Follow us for the latest updates, and the latest podcasts go through that as well. And until next time, stay curious, keep igniting your creative potential. And if you want a nice, juicy read, then find Mark Robertson's book. And if you're interested in what he's been blogging, then you can find the blogs under WordPress of David Walker. Yeah.
that's
Well,
great.
thank you very much. Thank you for
Thanks for
joining me
arranging.
today.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
You're
it.
you're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you for listening. I'd love you to subscribe and visit www.melancholymentor.com for the latest updates. Until next time, stay curious and keep igniting your creative potential.